So Jesus Christ already returned. It is ridiculous, it is utterly blasphemous, and it is evil to think that Jesus has not already returned. If you think that he hasn't returned, then you are following people that were left behind. You're following the Catholics and the Protestants who made up their doctrine and told you lies about what the apostles and Jesus actually said in the letters that they took and put together and took over the whole world through war, tyranny, and genocide and said, accept these books. John the Baptist was Elijah that was for to come before the great and terrible day of the Lord. The Jews said that Malachi was their last prophet before 400 years of silence, right? Before Jesus Christ. Malachi was their last prophet. The last thing that he said was that Elijah would come before the great and terrible day of the Lord, and he would make the paths straight. John the Baptist was Elijah, according to what Jesus said, and he came preaching, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, the kingdom of heaven is near. That means the kingdom of heaven was there, it was coming. The Messiah was among them. He was waiting to baptize people, to see who the dove would descend on, and that would be the Messiah, so that he would know that his work was finished. The Messiah was there. He was making the way for him. But whenever the Pharisees came to be baptized of him, he said, whoa. You've not confessed any faults. You've not confessed any sins. Go bring forth fruits meet for repentance, then I'll baptize you. He said, O generation of vipers, who has warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Why? Because the wrath was coming on them in their generation. What a weird thing for the Pharisees to walk up and John to be like, oh, generation of vipers, who's warned you to flee from the wrath to come? And they were like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Then Jesus came. He started preaching the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And he said that generation would not pass until all those things were fulfilled. What things? Everything that Jesus Christ prophesied about already happened in the first century. Jesus never spoke of the world. He never spoke of the destruction of Rome. He never spoke of any of that. If you can tell me a place where he said that, I'd love it. But no, whenever he was on earth, he said, flee Judea. There will be great wrath upon this people, the Jews. They will fall by the edge of the sword, be led away captive in all nations, whenever the Gentile armies come and trample their city underfoot until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. He told them that whenever they began to see those things come to pass, look up, for their redemption drew nigh, and get out of Judea, flee into the mountains, because they had to escape the wrath that would be upon that people. Then he said, behold, their house was left unto them desolate. They would not see him again until they said, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord, and all the blood of the prophets would be required at the hands of that generation. He only spoke of Judea, he only spoke of Jerusalem, he only spoke of Israel and the wrath that was coming on them. But today, Christians think all that has to happen again. They think that another army has to come, more believers have to flee, the Jews have to fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive, that the Gentiles have to trample their city, that their temple has to be left desolate. They think a new temple has to be built. Utter blasphemy. So Jesus came and he got 12 apostles and he sent them out and he said, go not in the way of the Gentiles. Paul went to the Gentiles. He said, go not in the way of the Gentiles, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? And they went out and they sealed up the 144,000. 3,000 were out of the church this day, 5,000 another day. Half of cities believed. Whole cities believed. You see how many thousands of Jews there are that believe, brethren, and they are zealous of the law, because the law was still in effect until the jots and tittles passed. Not one jot or tittle would pass from the law until all was fulfilled, until heaven and earth passed. Whenever he sent them out, he said, you will not have gone over all the cities of Israel before I come back. He told them that the wrath of the Lamb would come upon them. He said, O daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and your children. He was taking himself to the cross. He was carrying the cross. They were weeping for him. He said, don't weep for me. Weep for yourselves. Because the days are coming whenever you shall cry for the mountains and rocks to fall on you and cover you. That happened under the sixth seal, under the wrath of the Lamb. Jesus said things like, woe unto Chorazin, woe unto Bethsaida, for there would be great wrath on them on the day of judgment. The day of judgment already happened. Those cities don't exist anymore. Whenever Jesus rose back from the grave, he told Peter, he said, hey, Peter, you're going to die. Why would he even tell Peter that Peter was going to die? Why would he say that? If they were all just going to die, why tell Peter, hey, you're going to die? And then Peter looked at John. He said, well, what about John? What will he do? Jesus said, what is it to you if I let John live until I return? Follow thou me. Next, I'm going to give you a rundown of a bunch of scriptures that are in the Bible that say that Jesus Christ would return in their lifetime. And then I'm going to go and start at Adam and Eve, and I will explain every one of these things from the beginning to end, as long as I'm alive. Give me a follow.